permanently suspending MyPillow CEO and Trump ally Mike Lindell.
A number of companies who have decided to stop selling MyPillow products.
They're attacking my vendors.
The CEO of MyPillow has been named in a $1.3 billion defamation suit.
Biggest savings in history for MyPillow, everybody. Use that code.
That was awesome having Mike Lindell on the show. You probably saw it right there. And guys, what a great way to get presents. I love the bed frames. Go look at the bed frames at MyPillow, as well as the mattresses. You want really a good night's sleep? We have the mattress as well as a bed frame that actually is adjustable. Just love it. And so go to mypillow.com/B2T. The link's down below, and get your Christmas going. We have 107 on tonight. He's going to be here live. We're looking so forward to that. We're going to be talking about machine fraud confirmed. If you haven't been following Emerald Robinson on X, I highly recommend it. I'm hoping to get her here on the show. She's on Lindell TV, has a show there as well, and has a Substack that's just fantastic. That's Emerald Robinson, who's unloading the entire story about how the 2020 election was rigged, the specifics on how they did it with virtual machines out of Serbia, working with China and Venezuela software, and then all the way down to how the 2024 election was saved. Patrick Byrne, many other people part of this. I'm excited. I wrote a blog about it on FaithNFreedom.org. Make sure that you go there. We're going to get an update also on Tina Peters, and also after we finish with Juan, we're moving to Praise and Prayer, which we do every Monday and Thursday, where we'll be listening to beautiful music. Now that's going to be on a different channel because of the music licensing, etc. We move that over to the Word and Worship channel. Word with the N, worship, just like my Praise and Prayer with the N in there. I like to have the N in the middle because then I can get URLs for all this stuff. It's real easy. So I hope that makes sense. That's why it's Faith and Freedom with the letter N in between, Faith and Freedom. FaithNFreedom.com. So I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to jump to that because I think that is amazing and probably the biggest news of my 8 years of doing this. I'm telling you this. This is true. I have 8 years of doing this. I think this is the biggest news in 8 years. This is how they control us. This is how they completely took over us from what did they say without firing a shot, right? So I'm going to stretch this out further to get across the whole screen. There we go. But you'll see here. This is what I summarize all of the great work from Emerald Robinson and into an article. I probably didn't do it justice. If you wanted to get all the details, make sure you go to her Substacks. Make sure you're watching her on Lindell TV, and because she was given a backdoor seat to this whole thing, and she couldn't release it until now, and so she's on X as Emerald Robinson. In fact, I'll show you that here in a second. I probably should just go there now, and this is exciting. In fact, we probably should just see if she's posting everything every 2 or 3 times a day. So it's at Emerald, right there, Emerald Robinson. I don't know if you could see that. The absolute truth. She's on Lindell TV. She's the one who would not kept telling the truth about the election fraud, just like I have since the beginning of 2020. And they gave her they chose her, the whistleblowers from Venezuela and Bernstein, and the ex-CIA guy plus Patrick Byrne, chose her to get a backdoor seat, and they updated her pretty much weekly over the last year plus. And now she's releasing the whole thing, right? So this whole thing started in January, where she started releasing part of the story, and from like this 120-point thread, which is awesome, by the way. And then now this is we have a problem. It's true. Elon Musk, after seeing just one page he basically ran all the evidence through an AI, and the AI told that Elon and his team said that everything that they were reporting on was true, right? And so this is a brand new post. This is probably just a portion of her. Yeah, it's a 3-minute portion of this story. And this is interesting. So this is the latest tweet from besides that clip there. The MAGA influencers are all silent about my election fraud reporting this week. Why? Most of them were pushing early mail-in ballots the last few years. Who paid them to pretend it was a good idea? That's interesting. You got Scott Pressler over there in Philadelphia, and it's all going to be revealed. So follow her on X, and because I just want to make sure she gets all credit for this story, right? And so I took it and read through all that type of stuff, and then created a blog to summarize it for you guys. I'll probably cover this in detail tomorrow, depending on how late Juan gets here. But I'm going to go through this while we're waiting on Juan. He has confirmed, but is often gets caught up on some things. So we will go over this blog right now and get through as much as we can. I've named this the 20-year Venezuelan Chinese Serbian election fraud expose, right? So that's what this is. This is the Venezuelan software, the Chinese hardware, and the Serbian servers election fraud, okay? How they rigged 72 countries, stole 2020 election, and how Patriots saved the 2024 election. That's the story that I've just been so intrigued with these last 3 or 4 days. And excited to report on that with you guys. I've named this the Stolen Election Confirmed, 20 years and 72 countries. And again, this is Emerald Robinson, Patrick Byrne, complete timeline, all updated as of yesterday. And making sure that's not Juan coming in. I see somebody coming on an iPad. What is that? Well, that's Gus. That's Gus there. Okay. So you guys just interrupt me as soon as Juan comes on. We want to use all his time, all right? We're going to get a Tina Pagers update and also talk about this, right? But this is amazing. I say if there's only one article on election fraud in your entire life, make this the one. This is the most comprehensive page on the internet on this topic. Every claim dated and linked back to Emerald's ex-post, Burns interviews, declassified docs, the courtroom evidence through November 30th, 2025. Written by a Christian patriot that believes in Proverbs 21:15. That's all about justice brings joy to the righteous. That's what we need to save this country, right? It just is that justice that will bring us joy. As Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And this fraud is straight from the pit, with tentacles reaching from carcass to Tehran, laundering dirty money from godless regimes and deep state players. So again, they used Iran with all their oil transfers, so they do transfer pricing. So they'd overcharge somebody and undercharge somebody else. And that way they'd pay each other for equipment and for all the fraudulent stuff they're doing without it going through the SWIFT systems where we could detect it. So I'm talking about save and bookmark this page. And so I'm going to move on to the crime in one sentence. This is a long sentence. It's a run-on sentence, but it's a crime in one sentence, okay? It says, for over 20 years, Venezuelan narco-socialists, Chinese hardware makers, Serbian data centers, rogue CIF officers, including John Brennan as part owner, and Iranian money laundering networks used identical, undetectable virtual machine code embedded in Dominion, ESNS, and HART intercivic tabulators, scanners, and EMS servers to flip it at least 72 countries, including stealing 2020 from Donald Trump. Woo! What a handful there, huh? In 2024, a handful of patriots cut the Serbian kill switch and saved the republic. So now this next section is about how all three provider systems can flip votes with undetectable virtual machines, Dominion, ESS, and HART, step by step. Okay, so guys, this is one thing that's important. I've been talking about this for quite some time, is that virtual machine is something that actually fires up within the memory, right? So you remember you have the hard disk where it records things, right, and logs things and all that type of stuff. And then you have the memory, which is really fast and quick, right? They even have solid state memory now, which is lightning fast. And so, but what goes there, once you turn off your machine, everything in memory goes away and everything in your hard disk stays, right? So that's what they did. They used the virtual machine technology. That technology has been around for 25 years. And they've used that to actually steal the elections by undetectable things. They could change everything on the hard disk and make sure that they wrote back to the code and everything. And then the virtual machine would actually disappear. Okay, votes are counted normally at first. Everything looks clean. That's number one. Number two, raw data sits encrypted buffers on the Dominion ImageCast EMS, ESS, DS200s and DS850s, Electionware, and HART Verity scanners and tabulators. So they say, hey, this is decentralized. It's three different companies, all using the same chip from China that gets marked and assembled in Taiwan. So that they try to hide that it's coming from China. And remember, modems now, cellular modems, can be the size of a pin now. It's extremely small. So they have hidden modems in these things and everything. When the order comes, and that can be sitting on the motherboard, that can be sitting on the chips, so that they can be completely hidden, undetectable. When the order comes, almost always from Serbia or Carcass, the same hidden hypervisor code, nearly identical across all three vendors, silently spins up a ghost virtual machine inside the country's own, the county's own equipment. So literally all these machines are doing that. It looks like Juan is here, so we're going to flip over to Juan. Juan, I was just giving an update on Emerald Robinson and everything she's unleashed on everybody here lately about more detail around election fraud. How are you doing today, Juan? Oh, he's still muted, so he's I know he's driving right now, so we'll give Juan just a second as he's unmuting. I should have asked to see if he was ready. It flipped on. You're still muted, Juan.
It doesn't show me muted or unmuted until
okay, you're on now. All right, we got you.
All right. Well, it doesn't show me that I'm muted until you actually do something over there, so I didn't know I was muted. So sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks for being here.
I just explained everything in excruciating detail for nobody to hear.
Yeah. So I've been following the last 3 or 4 days. Everything Emerald has been just releasing on her X, and she had Patrick Byrne on her show on Lindell TV, and the story gets deeper and deeper in understanding the whole Venezuelan, the Chinese Serbian election fraud expose. I did a blog on it last night. Anything that have you been able to keep? I know Tina Peters is our #1 subject, but I just wanted to kind of start with that election.
Well, Emerald is very important, and Emerald, the information she's conveying is very relevant to the Tina Peters situation. So the two are not disconnected. Emerald Robinson was embedded, if you will, with the group that had care and custody of the folks who did the actual theft of the 2020 election from remote locations, Serbia and elsewise. So Emerald is very familiar with what they presented, their version of events as they did it. And so she had real-time access and knowledge as the various efforts were made to get those people to a safe location here in the U.S. and their information here in the U.S. And I don't want to step on any of her work by giving anything away that is not supposed to be given away. But Emerald did do, she's been presenting what she wants to present, what she's cleared to present at her site. And I'd encourage everybody to go there. She's done amazing work. So, and again, there's no use trying to duplicate it. She has the best. I mean, I know probably most all of the information that was there as it occurred, but she paid the dues to be involved and do what she did, and I want to let her present what she has there.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting just for the audience to make sure you understand that she would be found as at Emerald Robinson on X is the way you can get the free stuff and get these updates that she's kind of leaking out. Like here's one from 2 hours ago, right, about Elon Musk actually analyzing all the data from what they call the Three Musketeers, which are the actual three whistleblowers from Venezuela, right? And then she has one here about 4 hours ago, and another one 5 hours ago. So you're going to get pretty cool updates on her X. He also has a Substack.
I don't know if I'd call it leaking. What she's doing,
right?
It's hard to take everything in all at once. For those of us that lived it as it was occurring, and it's easier probably, but you try and take something that was really 5 years of work and contact and events, and try to condense it down to just an article or a couple little things. It really is just not possible, and the listeners won't retain it. So she is providing information in kind of a flow, and then tying it to current people, current events, current locations, so that hopefully it makes some type of sense for people. And so I think it's the right way to do it. She's been doing it now for several weeks, and Patrick Byrne has been kind of coming in and helping and giving some of his perspective. When Elon looked at this, Mike Flynn also was sent over and did the same interviews. And he's the one that initially asked one of the three amigos there about how many countries they had done this in, and was the one that got the answer 71 plus the United States, 72 total. And he was very, very, very shocked at that. He just found it hard to fathom the magnitude and reach of this operation against governments all around the world. And although they've been asked about specific nations, I don't think up until that exact moment anybody had boiled it down to a specific number. So the credit for asking the right question to the right people at the right time goes to Mike Flynn on that specific thing. And then Elon, he likes to be considered as a technologist. And, what's your job title? Technologist. Technology, and then the ability to, take technical ideas and to put them into some type of workable system, function, etc. So within that kind of a definition, he went over and reviewed what these people were saying. He actually went over on behalf of the president to look at these systems and what these people were saying, and to vet out the information to make sure that it was actually possible, accurate, made sense, provable, etc. And at the conclusion, he had access to these people. He brought his own technicians who understand these systems, and went through point by point by point by point to vet and verify that the information as presented was true and accurate to the best of their ability, so that the president and others could verify it out. And let me just say this: we had a particular group and some events that happened where I warned, and others that knew the technology involved warned, that things like the PCAPs and like that just weren't adding up, didn't make sense, and tried to push off some events so that we had time to vet through the proper means with the right people that what was being said was true and accurate, because I had concerns about one of the individuals involved and past history, personal history, where I knew from personal experience that what was said wasn't true in another instance. And so I was very skeptical and tried to wave everybody off and maybe pick a later date. And that's where Tina stepped onto the stage and kind of saved the day. But the reason I raised that is because we didn't want another event where the statements could be proven true or wouldn't prove true again out to the public. And so that's why Elon and his technical team evaluated what was said. April got to be present for some of that, Mike Flynn and some of his associates. And so before you heard about this, before this has come out into the public, there have been other people with the right skill sets that have gone in and reviewed this and come to the conclusion that yes, what they're saying is absolutely what happened. and that their information and their stories add up. And by the way, the material that Tina got out of her Dominion machines there in Mesa, Colorado, for much of what was done in that era of, now a year ago and many years before that, true too, in vetting this information out. Hers was kind of the Rosetta Stone, because that meant that when these people said things, we had the ability to go in and do comparative checks between what these people were saying and Tina's machine before and after,
Yeah.
and see what they were talking about with hidden files and ways of setting up the machines. So eventually, what Tina has, what she secured, will be part of these trials. And in fact, some of the members have already testified before grand juries.
Wow.
And there's more grand juries to come. So the idea that this isn't going anywhere or nothing's come of it or whatever, just not true. We have lots of information that's been developing and proving this out. So.
Yeah, that's quite exciting. So, is there any updates on Tina? I know she's very sick, and I saw just yesterday prayer request for her is not sounding well. I think that was from Apollo. Do you have any other information, Juan?
Well, I don't want to be like Chicken Little or crying wolf or something like that. I try to be very, very measured in everything that we've been doing. Yes, Tina hasn't felt well. She really didn't feel well several weeks ago. She's feeling a little bit better, but the cough is not going away. It's persistent, and it's a different type of cough. The kind of a cough that's not cough and cold. It's like the cough she had when she came down with cancer originally, and the doctors couldn't diagnose it at first, and then eventually it was diagnosed as lung cancer. She had a third of her right lung removed in those days, but it's that kind of a cough in her opinion. And she's been very measured. She's been very diligent, in trying to do things to keep her health, even over the times that we've had her with us, and all the work that she did. She got the cancer in remission. But you can't take care of yourself in jail. The food's horrible. And because she's been coughing so steadily and for so long, and a lot of you would know this from your own personal experience, your chest starts to hurt because you're just coughing so much. It's hard to tell, is it your chest or your heart, right? So, I mean, it's been going on long enough, and the coughing at times hard enough that it's affecting her in ways beyond just, let's say, the lungs, if you will. And from the state of Colorado standpoint, they really could care less. They're there to administer justice, and she's there to serve out her sentence. And from the prison system side, all they care is keep you alive long to serve your sentence. They don't have to do anything extraordinary for your comfort, although they are supposed to have certain standards and minimums. For example, the reality is that the temperature is supposed to be 65 to 85, I think, at all times. The temperature today, this morning, was 52 degrees in one of the 6-man cells, and
Wow.
that was warmer than where she's at a 4-person cell, where they thought it was, at least 5 or 6 degrees colder. Now imagine you're there all the time, you bundle up all you can, but if you're in a common area you can only wear certain, jail prison clothing,
Right.
and that's it. You can't bundle up. For example, the other day she was out in a common area, because you can't just stay in your cell all day long. She was out in a common area, and she had a T-shirt wrapped around her neck, because it's bare skin, and you have to picture this. She's 70 years old. How many people in your audience know from personal experience that your skin gets thinner as you get older? We talk about being thin-skinned. Well, it's another way of saying you're getting old. But you need a little bit more covering to maintain body heat and to be comfortable. And so you put on a sweater, you wear a jacket when everybody else has already pulled theirs off, because your skin is literally thinner. She's 70 years old. She's in pretty good shape. She's tried hard to stay in good shape. That said, her skin is still thinner. She gets cold. 99% of the inmates there are a third of her age or younger. Okay? So, but they're outside of the jail norms and standards. It's torture for her because she's cold, and she's got, what to most everybody else is a cold. She doesn't feel well. So she's there coughing. She doesn't feel well, and she can't get warm. And if she tries to warm up, put something on over her neck, whatever, now she's outside violating and causing a problem. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So obviously that's on our radar for the last few weeks, to continue to pray for her and the miracles that will happen. And is there anything specific you think we should be praying for besides her health and release?
Well, the other thing I think everybody should be aware of, President Trump is extremely aware of everything that's going on here. He understands, he knows it. He is restricted, not so much that he can't do certain things. There's other things in play that he has to have in consideration. So his timing on what he's going to do, he said he's going to take drastic measures if they don't release her. I absolutely believe him. I take him at his word on that. However, the timing is critical, and it hasn't hit quite yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that would be a beautiful thing of somehow the waiting out the political process. They're not. I mean, they want her to be punished, right? And so that they're part of this spirit of Haman, or these spirits that don't want. This is a spiritual battle, and they know they're going to go down if this all comes out. So anything on Venezuela and all the ships off the shore, and it's obviously way more than just about drugs. It has to do with this, is it not?
Well, you can say that. I think that's true for the most part. However, I don't think it's accurate. Some people want to say that this is about, just the elections. It really isn't. It's about taking out the whole crew, all of the people involved in frauding the elections. And we're going to go in there, get evidence that we still want to get, and all of the people involved. Peter, I had your interview for being an hour later, so I had an alarm set. So I don't know, I got our timing off there a little bit. Apologize. But so this is about clearing the decks completely. And by the way, Venezuela, it was a very, very, very rich country. Mm-hmm. It has arguably some of the greatest oil wealth on the planet, greater than Saudi Arabia's, if you can imagine. And here they are, starving to death. People literally killed all the dogs and cats for food and got to the rats. And now it's not an exaggeration. When I talked with one of the people, that was from there, he was talking about the fact that he thought it was a delicacy when he found a couple of field mice to cook up and eat. And this is a person that was a person of means. coming into this, and it just was brutal. It was just devastating for him. So I just think that we have to understand that when we go in and do what we're doing in Venezuela, it's not for us. It's not because we want their oil. I've heard that already. That's bullshit. We got plenty of our own. We're exporting oil already under Trump. Oil prices are coming down because we're in the middle of an oil glut. We're not going to Venezuela for their oil, dumbasses. Okay? We're going there because they were taken over by a criminal mob, a bunch of gangsters, Al Capone and his crew, the Cubans. Early on, it was the Russians, and now it's the Chinese running the Cubans. Okay, what's gone on is the Venezuelan people have been hijacked. Their ship of state has been hijacked by pirates, and they've been driven into a type of poverty that's something beyond the worst poverty you see anywhere on the planet. It's the kind of poverty where you can't even do stuff for yourself. You're just forced to, watch. You don't have a business. You can't make any money. You can't pay the bills. You can't feed your kids. You're just scavenging for anything you can find because there's no economy there except for the drug dealers and the gangsters. They're living fine. So we're going there to help the Venezuelan people to recapture control of their country so they can enjoy their own wealth and return their economy back where it's supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you have any insight onto what that will be part of? How extensive that operation could be, and a color revolution against him, right? There's a color revolution against Trump right now, trying to stop it.
Well, just 1 second here. I've got a car door that I've got to unlock.
I hear the car talking to you.
I apologize. I had a child lock on and couldn't get somebody out of the car. So the problem is Trump is doing everything he can within the limits of allowing the Venezuelan people and the Venezuelan government to make decisions. We're not going to go in there and take over Venezuela. We're going to go in there and take out the bad guys that are running the country. They're going to have to run their own country. We don't want to run Venezuela. We don't want to run the criminal gangs. We want to run them out of town. We want to run them to justice, but we don't want to have to be in charge in Venezuela. We're going to help them to figure out how to run their own country. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what we'd want to do. And then we see these people from the Democrats, the Salacious Six or whatever they're called, the Seditious Six, and really a lot of people are concerned that there's, including Emerald, talking about some of the enemies in the camp. She's mentioning Rick Grinnell and obviously Brennan, but even others like one of his legal counselors. How do you think? How serious is this this infiltration of the Trump administration?
Well, I think it's serious, and everybody knows that it's true. It's not that we don't have concern. Let me just say this: Grinnell and Pam Bondi, both were pushing that Chevron be allowed to go into Venezuela and take over the key oil fields, the Rockefeller fields, and do an agreement with the Venezuelan government. In other words, with Maduro. Several months ago, all spring, okay? We're going after, at the same time that Pam Bondi's Justice Department people, Todd Blanche is the one that led it, by the way.
Right.
We're going after criminal indictments, which resulted in grand juries handing down indictments of Maduro for drug trafficking and terroristic, terror funding. He has the highest bounty on his head that we've ever issued as a government, and that bounty is for $50 million. At the same exact time, Pam Bondi and Grinnell were lobbying to allow Chevron, which is a Rockefeller operation, by the way, in case you didn't know, Standard Oil. Okay.
Right.
That's a very powerful, if not the most powerful group behind the scenes politically in America. And by the way, just so that people know, Bill Clinton is a hidden Rockefeller. His father is Winthrop Rockefeller, not this guy by the name of Blythe, who happened to supposedly go on one date with Bill Clinton's mom and then got pregnant during the Second World War. The father is Winthrop Rockefeller. Bill Clinton, how did he end up on the White House front lawn with President Kennedy? Oh, I just want to be president. He got there because his father took him, who was the governor of Arkansas at the time, Winthrop Rockefeller, with his little scout troop. It was a hidden Rockefeller. They couldn't get Nelson Rockefeller into the presidency. The American people didn't want him. They tried every trick in the book. He didn't get there. So they wouldn't hire him directly. They got one of the family, Bill Clinton, I say it a little differently, but I'll spare the audience, into the presidency. And then he was able to do what they wanted. Vacations every year, up until just a few years ago, with the Rockefeller family at their annual event out there in Colorado.
Mm.
So come on, man. There's hidden power into the three-letter agencies. You know, let me just add one thing here. Okay, Conspiracy Theory 101 Americana. Excuse me. The UN, built on the dead corpse, dying corpse of the League of Nations from World War I era. The UN was pushed, coddled, put on life support, respirated, brought back to life from the League of Nations, turning it into the UN by the Rockefeller brothers and by David Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller. They got it done so that as World War II was coming to an end, this new association of nations would be there to bring peace to the world and help the nations of the world to work together to bring their globalist wet dream to pass. And if you think about all the things that are going wrong across the world, everywhere, every time, all the time, every day, something related to UN globalist operations is tied into the worst of the worst things going on. And on parallel lane, all of the Federal Reserve stuff, which is an international Federal Reserve operation spanning the globe, running through the city of London, that paralleled everything UN, World Economic Fund, all these other things. It just goes on and on and on. Council on Foreign Relations, etc. Excuse me, you can say it's all conspiracy theory and write a movie about it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not without basis, okay? And these families are working very hard to maintain that they continue to have lots of money to spend the way they want to. These pre-33 trusts that don't pay income tax like the rest of the population, by the way, because they're a pre-33 trust, they are exempt from most all of the taxes that everybody else pays. So that it's an uneven playing field, don't you see? And with that in mind, when you then have some of their business side doing things such as Standard Oil, Chevron, in this case, the name is Chevron, still all one and the same thing, which was broken up, by the way, in the first great antitrust suit, monopoly suit, had to break into several smaller companies. But Chevron was working very hard to get the title deed control of these oil fields do a contract in Venezuela with Maduro. Hello? Okay, they wanted Maduro to survive. We'll just work it out. They weren't, at the same time, the Justice Department is working another branch, left hand, suppose he doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Pam Bondi is working to help Chevron secure the oil deal down in Venezuela. At the same time, people in her Justice Department, I mean, that sounds like a pay for play thing to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, Pam Bondi, why do we have her? And there's people, oh, Powell's going to get it. Powell's going to get it. You know what? The reason why Pam Bondi is head of the Justice Department is because she's the one that could get past Congress and have approved to run the Justice Department. You have to get past Congress. They weren't going to be able to get somebody like Powell past Congress back then. And I don't think they'll get her past Congress now. You got a Congress that's anti everything the president's doing. Before we're all done, the only way we get this whole thing sorted out is we're going to end up going to a military operation for a period of time to sort things out, just like in the elections. You're not going to get the elections sorted out by Congress agreeing to going to hand count paper ballots and forcing the states to let us go in and clean the voter rolls. That's going to have to be done during a emergency declaration by the president, national emergency, and run the elections under a national emergency authority because of the corruption on the elections. What April is bringing forth in the information, Emerald Robinson is bringing forth in her information, is the basis for why we cannot use the machines in the next elections. And there's no machines that are safe to use at this point in time. So President Trump is going to a totally hand count paper ballot, counted where cast, extremely critical. No central vote counting centers to fraud the vote. Nevada can cry elephant tears, not happening. Hawaii can cry elephant tears, not happening. Counted where cast, precincts of 1,500 or less. And in order to vote, you're going to have to show up with valid government issued ID. You're going to have to fill out a voter registration card showing your physical address. And then you're going to sign under penalty of perjury that you live there, you are a U.S. citizen, have the right to vote, and then be able to vote. That makes sense?
Yeah. And I think, and you've been talking about Gitmo and military tribunals, and some of these have probably already happened where we've infiltrated the infiltrators, I would guess. But I think do you agree with that, by the way, that there's been some military tribunals in secret in the past 5 years?
Very, 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 very little. Less than you can count on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not what has been portrayed out there. There's a lot of trolling going on. Mm-hmm. This is a very, very misreported, falsely reported thing. The most recent people that were brought in, for example, the Gitmo, were some of the heads of the gangs, which President Trump declared as terrorist organizations. And that happened when they arrested in just the first days after Trump took office, January 20th of 2025. And so, and the videos of them going, being put on the aircraft and taken down to Gitmo and getting off at Gitmo were out there in the public. Beyond that, not talking. And those gangs are excruciatingly dangerous. By the way, in Tina's situation, remember that Tren de Aragua had the apartment complexes up there in Colorado.
Yes.
That they had taken over, and they had to go in and forcefully retake those apartment complexes. Some of the members of those gangs, the women members, are in the jail where Tina is at. Think about that. And then she's supposed to be safe. She's the one that's going after the vote stuff, and she's supposed to be safe in that location. Give me a break.
Yeah, that's
very, very disturbing.
Yeah, we were reporting on that for sure about what was going on there in Colorado, and while the corruptness that's and the power that the cabal still has is scary, but still, this is going in a good direction overall, right? Because of the what we call D class 5 years ago, we were hoping it was going to happen. It's that D class is happening pretty significant right now, right?
Well, the storm's on us. D5. D5 refers to a Cat 5 hurricane, the strongest type of hurricane. And what I think everybody has to remember is that it's like Nino and I talk about. Everybody goes into the boxing matches and everybody has, gamed out what's going to happen and who's more powerful and younger and longer reach and weight and everything else. But you still have the fight. Why? Because all the pundits weigh everything out that they know, and then you go do it and find out if they knew as much as they thought they did. Was a person feeling well? Did they not dial in something that they otherwise should have, or the unexpected? When Muhammad Ali did the rope-a-dope, where he was using the edge of the arena, the ropes,
Yeah.
to lean into, and he was being punched. He was able to
You got choppy there for the last 20 seconds or so.
Himself, except blocking blocks. Sorry, Ali is the fight on. Wasn't even defending himself. He was just absorbing the punches and hardly swinging at all. But then in the 7th round, he began the fight back at the tail end and into the 8th, because his opponent's arms were so heavy, his punching power was down by half.
Right.
And Ali hadn't been using his arms. They were still in reserve. He'd taken some hits to him, but his strength was there. And he still was able to dance. He'd absorbed those early blows. Now he came in and with precision began to dismantle his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
That he wasn't fighting in the first part didn't mean he wasn't there to fight. He was letting his opponent get his big blows out of the way first. Same thing in a bullfight. You let the bull charge and charge and charge. In fact, you even taunt the bull to keep charging you. And then at some certain point, they're so exhausted, a bull will actually sit down on all four and just out of exhaustion, the bullfighter has to taunt them and wave the flag. The bullfighter will even get down on their knee, or both knees even, trying to get the bull to get up and charge him. Okay, look like an easy target. That's at the point we're at right now in the fight. And the enemy, our enemies, think that Trump's still toast and Justice Department won't work and there's nothing else we're going to do. And we're close now to where we come off the ropes and start punching hard, because they've used everything they have. That's why I use Trump as the bull.